Already mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alright, we're live, and as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more game logic in Unreal Engine 5 using C++. That said, I got plenty of sleep yesterday and I've pretty recuperated today, so let's go to my gameplay screen. There we go. And guys, last stream, if you guys didn't know what I was doing, I actually, was stuck in the basic enhanced input. That's why I knew that I had to like end the stream, but I didn't have enough time to work on it off stream. So I worked on a bit off stream, and I'm going to be doing some on stream and then work on the next topic, which is basically summoning different objects and hopefully even having them change colors. Okay, that's it. Let me just go ahead and close my OBS, check if my Twitch kick's going good. Let's go to something like Watch Now. There we go. And then let's move on to my kick stream to check if it's going good as well. Okay, because I realized that I'd be getting comments on Twitch and Kick as well, and I don't really look at them, so I guess I gotta go ahead and keep an eye on them now. Okay, that's so firstly, what else did I work on here? Okay, firstly, I did work on my enhanced for local player subsystem where I did mess up yesterday. The thing that I forgot to add was like the get subsystem in my player controller, which points towards the get local player. The next thing that I worked on was my R&B actions, and lastly was my move function. Okay, which I actually did not complete because I wanted to do some on stream. So let's kind of do it on stream. Let me just get my chair in the center. There we go. It's kind of awkward up here. There we go. Okay, so firstly, for my scaling, guys, I feel like I gotta like conserve some of my energy and not just exhaust myself before I even started the stream. I mean, I did start it, but then before like it's just been like 2 minutes since I started. And also, I like looked it up online. Why was it that I forgot the very basic stuff and all that thing? Why I kept blanking out in my brain previously, and like these streams before that is probably because of exhaustion. That's like about it. Okay, that said, I am going to be conserving my energy while doing this part today. So, firstly, I got my scale value. Secondly, I got my camera's rotation. Thirdly, I want to go ahead and get a world direction. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like world direction. And the reason I'm actually creating a world direction is because in order to make something move using key controls, we do need three things in Unreal Engine. We need a scale value, which way the camera is facing, that's a rotation, and lastly a world direction, which way is my player facing and which way do I want to move towards. And when I said scale values, which way do I want to move? Scale value basically means do I want to move in the positive direction or the negative direction. That's it. Now for my world direction, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and add a f vector. Let's go with something like f vector, which is basically a three-dimensional vector that is going to be represented by a local variable called something like forward direction. There we go. Let's go with something like forward direction, T-I-R-E-C-T-I-O-N. Okay, which is going to be equal to, I'm going to go with something like a F rotation matrix. Let's go with something like a F rotation matrix. Okay, dot the get unit axis. I want to go ahead and get my unit axis. Okay, from my unit axis, I want to get my E axis, C X axis. There. Okay, so F rotation matrix is a function. There we go. Okay, perfect. Why do I say it red underline here though? No instance of constructor F rotation matrix. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Let's use IntelliSense. There. Okay, my F rotation matrix does require a parameter of my yaw rotation. There, and guys, this is what I meant by I kind of blanked out, my mind kind of blanks out. It's probably because I memorized a lot from my college stuff and all that, so my brain is kind of overloaded. That said, this is just about time that it gets better. Okay, that's the next time I'm going to go with another F vector. Let's go with the ECTOR, which is going to be represented by a local variable, this time called right direction. My right direction is basically going to be in charge of getting my player looking which way my player wants to move towards. Is it towards the right or towards the left? There is no better way that I could have phrased that, guys. Okay, let's go with something like direction. So, there. That is going to be equal to F rotation matrix. Again, I'm going to go with something like F rotation matrix, M-A-T-R-I-X. Okay, this is basically the F rotation matrix's function, which requires a parameter of my yaw rotation again. Okay, and then I'm going to go with something like the dot get unit axis. Let's go with something like axis. And inside my get unit axis function, I'm gonna go ahead and add an E axis. Let's go with something like an E axis, is Y axis. Now the reason I went with Y axis here and like X axis for my forward direction is because forward direction is in charge of me moving. What up, guys? Whoops. Let me just change that to Y axis and change this to X axis there. Okay, so the reason my forward direction was y-axis is because when I move forward or backwards, that's basically me going in the y-axis. In the other hand, when I add the e-axis to the x-axis, when I move towards the left or towards the right, that's basically x-axis. Okay, I think that was like pretty easy to like understand with this. That said, lastly, I'm gonna go with something like movement vector. Actually, add movement input. I'm gonna go ahead and add my movement input. Add movement input. There we go. Now for my movement input, I'm gonna go ahead and use the add movement inputs as function. So there we go. And now my movement inputs function requires 3 parameters. Actually, it requires, let's see. What up, guys? There, it requires 2 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my world direction, which in this case is going to be my forward vector. So I'm going to go with FORWARD, forward vector. By vector, I meant direction. Guys, this is what I mean. It's so annoying. Sometimes when your brain is exhausted, it just kind of blanks off and you just be yapping anything. That's exactly what I'm going through right now. Okay, the next thing is going to be a scale value. In this case, my scale value is my movement vector. So I'm going to go with something like, oops, let's go with something like MOVEMENT. My movement vector, there we go, dot the, let's say something like x-axis. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to remove my mo from there. And then I send this with a semicolon. And now, lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add another movement input. Let's go with something like movement, MOVEMENT input. Okay, which is going to be requiring 2 parameters again, a world direction and a scale value. In this case, my world direction is going to be my right vector. By vector, I meant direction. Okay, and my scale value is going to be my movement vector. Okay, dot the y-axis. And now that's pretty much it for my move function. Okay, it's honestly really easy. The reason I keep messing it up is because my brain goes blank every once in a while and I'm like, Okay, next up, once I'm done with my move function, I'm gonna go with something like my look function. Now, basically what my look function is gonna do is whenever I click my right mouse button on my keyboard, actually on my mouse, I want to go ahead and either rotate towards the left or towards the right based on where my mouse moves in the x-axis. And while I'm clicking the right mouse button, if I, want to move towards, if I want to look up or down, it's gonna happen based on where I move my mouse in the y-axis. If that made any sense, guys, my explanation is getting worse by the day. There we go. So wait, have you tried VLang already? Honestly, I have not tried VLang, but I will definitely have a mini series after the series where I actually tried, because you've been saying me that for like, I think 2 weeks now or something. I feel like it's just appropriate for me to try it. Okay, F1CTIO, and maybe I might actually try it just for a detox time as well in this series, but I think there's just 90 more days left, like 3 months, so there's no point to like getting breaks. That said, now for my look function, I'm gonna go with something like void. My look function is gonna be a void function from my ALXS class, which uses a scope resolution operator to point towards my look function. Now, my look function does require a parameter, or it requires a constant parameter of my F input action value, which requires the memory address of, let's say, my value. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with the pair of curly braces. Now, inside my curly braces, what is something that I might need in my look function? Let's see, so, I might need a scale value for my look function, because I wanna either get a negative value or a positive value as to which way do I wanna turn. For example, let me add a comment first of a scale value. I'm gonna go ahead and use a F vector, TCTOR. There we go, I'm going to go with F vector 2D, and basically what the F vector 2D does is it gives me access to a 2-dimensional vector where I can store my values. Is it a positive x-axis value, negative x-axis value, positive y-axis value, or a negative y-axis value? If you guys want to work with roll as well, because there are like 3 kinds of rotations, X, Y, and roll. Roll is like up and down, does that make any sense? That would be like just a basic F vector, but in this case, I just want to move in the x-axis and in the y-axis, not in the z-axis. So I'm gonna go ahead and represent it with something like a look vector. Okay, that is gonna be equal to, I'm gonna go with something like my values as parameter dot the get template. My get template is going to be requiring a parameter of my F vector 2D. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with a pair of parentheses to invoke my function, and that's about it. Once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement here. The reason I'm adding an if statement is to check if and only if my right mouse button is being pressed is when I want to go ahead and rotate my player. So I'm going to go with something like if my boolean variable of is RMB pressed, let's go with RMB pressed. Okay, if this is set to true, then I'm going to go ahead and add a pair of curly braces and do something. I want to go ahead and I'm going to use the add controller your inputs function. Basically what the add controller your input means is that my mouse is considered a controller and yaw is in charge of the x-axis. So if I get an input reading from my mouse, which in this case is my controller, and that input reading happened to be yaw, which means I want to move towards the left or towards the right, I was gonna give a tiny little side note that the way I can actually know that I'm getting a scale value or a reading of me moving in the y-axis is because I did add like a bunch of mapping context where in my y-axis I have a Swiss input axis modifiers value that I did not add. No way I forgot that. There we go. I'm glad I checked this. Basically, if I get a value which is either positive or negative that is linked to a modifier of Swiss input axis value, that means I want to go ahead and turn in the y-axis. In the other hand, if I just get a value of negative or positive without any modifiers linked to it, then that's gonna by default turn me in the x-axis. There we go. That's all that I wanted to say, guys. Okay, the reason I even say it is because I wanna see if I really understood that. Okay, now my add controller yaw input does require a parameter of my value dot. Let's go with something like yaw. Wait, did I just go with value? My bad, guys, not value. I meant my look vector. Okay, look vector dot the y-axis. This base dot the x-axis because yaw is basically in charge of the x-axis, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add another controller. This time I'm gonna go with pitch input. Pitch input, unlike yaw input, is in charge of moving or rotating my player in the y-axis. So if I get a Swiss input axis value, that's when I'm gonna go ahead and initiate my pitch function because I know that I want to get access to the y-axis. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like a look vector dot the y-axis. And guys, this is getting like harder by the day to explain because of my brain blanks. Is that what you call it, like brain blanks? Okay, and I think that's pretty much it for my look function. So once I'm done with the look function, I'm gonna hit Control S to save the code and then scroll all the way down. Now let's go ahead and work on binding my actions. Firstly, I want to bind my move action. Basically, the reason we bind actions is because when I go ahead and add input mapping context in my Unreal Engine and I add functions in my Visual Studio, there is no way for both of them to know what to do if one thing is initiated. So the reason we bind is to know if I get some kind of readings in my Unreal Engine and that Unreal Engine stuff is binded / linked to my Visual Studio's project, then I want to do what it's telling me to do. It's very hard to explain this part, guys. Okay, that's it. I'm going to firstly go ahead and bind it. For binding, I'm going to go with something like enhance input component, which is basically my enhance input component. I'm going to point it towards the bind actions function. Okay, now my bind actions function does require a bunch of parameters. The first parameter is going to be my action name, which in this case, it's going to be my move action. The second parameter is going to be a trigger type. So I'm going to go with something like a e-trigger type. Excuse me, guys. By trigger type, I meant trigger event that uses a scope resolution operator to point towards a specific event. I'm going to go with something like triggered. Basically, what the triggered event type here means is that while my button that's currently being pressed that is actually linked to my move action is being pushed downwards, that's when I want this bind function to do something on this object, and that something is what the function from my Alexis class tells me to do. The function is going to be the move function. Guys, I don't know if I explained this part clearly. Okay, I'll just go with something like bind, move, and look action. They both are like almost similar to each other, so I don't want to add another comment for that. So I'm going to go with enhance input component that points towards bind action. Okay, this time I'm going to require my action name again. It's going to be my look action. And then I require a trigger type, which in this case, I'm gonna go with something like a e-trigger event. And my trigger event is gonna be trigger. There we go, triggered. So if a look action has been triggered on this object or on this character class, I want to do what this function from my Alex's class tells me to do. The function is going to be called my look function, ending with a semicolon. There we go. That's like much easier to like explain in that way. Guys, for some reason my arm kind of hurts. Let's go with something like, and guys, make sure that you guys like answer the community post that I added, because by the end of my series, which it is going to be ending in I think about 90 days, I am going to be making a game all of my own. So I'm kind of confused, what game should I make? Should it be like an FPS first person shooter game, RPG, role playing, I think RPG stands for role playing game, or like any other game in general that you guys want me to play? Because I think I'm kind of off for like brainstorming on that, but I will definitely have like at least one stream where I work on designing or making a pseudocore as to what game I'll be making. And that's it. Back to topic. I'm gonna add another comment here to, let's say something like bind my RMB action. There we go. Okay, now for my RMB action, firstly, I'm gonna go with enhance input component that points towards my bind actions as function. Let's go with something like action. And exactly as I said before, I require a function, a action name, which in this case, it's gonna be my RMB action. And in case you guys might be like, how am I getting these action names? If I were to go to my header files, I already created all these action names. For example, look action, move action, RMB action in my previous stream, which was my yesterday's stream, but I did not get really farther because I was very, very exhausted. Because guys, it's very hard to maintain a 4.0 GPA while actually streaming. Okay, that said, I'm gonna go with something like RMB action, and then I require e-trigger event. Okay, do you know Mini Militia? Honestly, is that a game? Because I hardly have time to play games these days, but what's it about? Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go with something like e-trigger event, which points towards, let's say something like started. Now, the reason I'm going with started here, STARTED, there we go. The reason I'm going with started instead of triggered for my RMB action is because right mouse buttons are supposed to be like clicks and not like presses. So while my button is clicked, I want my right mouse button to be initiated. When I leave my button, or when I stop clicking my button anymore, that's when I want my this certain action to be completed. If that made any sense. So if my RMB action has started on this object, I want to do what this function tells me to do. Okay, I want to do what my Alex's, let's say RMB underscore press function tells me to do. And what this function really does is that it does not show my mouse cursor while my RMB is being pressed, and my boolean of this RMB press is set to true, which lets me move my player either in the yaw axis or the pitch, either using the yaw input or the pitch input. Okay, check it out after the stream. It's a good game. It looks very easy to me. You can actually try it. Let me look it up. So it's Mini M-I... How do you spell it? M-I-L-I-T-I-A. There we go. Oh, I see. Okay, so is it these? Let me just go ahead and set that, get that here. Honestly, I think that I've seen this, but I've never played it before. Okay, I don't want to get a copyright, so I'm gonna kind of set this. Honestly, I think I've heard of it, but I've never tried it before. It does seem pretty fun. Okay, that's it. Next, I'm gonna go with something like enhance input component, which points towards. Just close that tab and check if I got any Twitch chats, kick chats. Because recently my kick has been like getting a lot of followers for some reason. I'm like, I thought that my Twitch and my kick were just kind of stuck in a scale, but then for the past 3 days, my kick has been like getting a lot of followers. I do appreciate you guys a lot for that. Let's go with bind action with a pair of parentheses, which now requires my action name again. In this case, it is going to be my RMB action. It's a very popular game. Honestly, I actually think it is because like I hardly like play much games these days. I do like play. I think like hardly I play one game, but if I've actually seen a game before, it definitely is like really popular. Okay, but maybe I should like try different kinds of games type stuff. That's it. Let's go with something like e-trigger event, which points towards something like completed C1 PLETED. So if my RB action has been completed, means my Action has been completed on this object. I want to do what this function tells me to do. From my Alex's class, I want, whoops, there we go. From my I'll just type it out. From my Alex's class, I want to do what my RMB underscore release function tells me to do. What my release function tells me to do is that my boolean of this RMB pressed is going to be false. I won't be able to rotate my player around anymore, and my show mouse cursor is going to be true. I'm going to be able to see my mouse cursor again. And that's about it for my RMB pressed and released. I think these are all the functions that I need for now, right? RMB pressed, RMB released, blah blah blah. Okay, that's about it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine. Try it. I might honestly try it if I had time, like after the stream. Like maybe if I had time after the stream, because I do got like exams for my college as well. Maybe once my college is over, I'm gonna have like much more time than I have right now. Because I think that's one reason why I'll be forgetting like everything really quick. Because I do memorize a lot of stuff for my college stuff. Plus, when I come to stream, I gotta memorize the stream stuff as well. So I think my brain is kind of overloaded. And how would I know that? I actually asked ChatGPT today. Okay, that's it. Let's go with Control Alt F11. Let's kind of compile the code. There we go. Although I might try that this Tuesday. Like I might have like a community post asking you guys should actually have a Blender stream, a workout stream, or like a mini Militia stream. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and run the program now. So, okay. Okay, did I not set my auto possess player? I think I forgot to set it. Let's go to something like Alex. In my Alex, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of extend my details panel from here real quick. Now, in my details panel, firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and look for inputs. There, in my input, I'm gonna go ahead and fill all these inputs. For example, I need to fill an IMC defaults. I need to fill a I underscore move for my move action. I gotta fill a I underscore look for my look action. And lastly, I gotta fill my I underscore RMB for my right mouse button. And then I'm gonna go with something like possess. My auto possess player is set to 0, so that's correct. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna kind of decrease the size of this. And let's kind of position my camera up a bit because I feel like my camera is way too close to my player. So I'm gonna go ahead and extend my details panel again. I don't know why did I not. I think truncate is the correct word. Why did I truncate it? And then let's just kind of get this a bit lower. Now I'm gonna go ahead and select my follow camera here. Follow camera is basically my actual camera component where I want to get it a bit higher. Whoops. I want to get it higher. I want to get it towards the left. There, I think that's good. Honestly, I think that's good. Now let's go ahead and run the code. Before I really run the program, I'm gonna just kind of get myself there and let's run the program. So this is Lisa where I can look up, look down. Okay, I gotta fix one tiny issue here. So in my move action, I have just a regular look vector. I want to change this to be a negative look vector because when I move my mouse forwards, I look downwards. When I move it backwards, I look upwards. I want the opposite. Forward, upwards, backwards, downwards. Yeah. Okay, let's hit control. Let's just save the code. You need to play games too because it's like learning to. That actually makes so much sense because that's one reason that I asked you guys like in the community post what game should I make because I don't play those many games in general. So I rarely have ideas as to like what kind of game should I really make. Although it's gonna be really fun once I actually play them. Okay, so maybe this Tuesday I might have like a gaming stream for the first 30 minutes and then I'm gonna move on to like whatever the other topic is. Unless you guys pick workout. If you guys pick workout, then I might have the entire stream for my gaming stream. But if you guys pick Blender, then I might have like 30 minutes of gaming and then rest Blender, if that makes any sense. Because I honestly need to like start making a lot of meshes and learn how to like rig my meshes as well. Because right now, if I were to like run the program, you guys would see that even though I can move, I don't have any kind of animation whatsoever. So I do need to get that done. Okay, but at least I can like move around and rotate around, and I can move my mouse button. Only when I click my right mouse button, my mouse pointer, it kind of disappears and I can rotate myself. Else, I don't rotate myself. Okay, that's about it. Now, this was the easier part. I'm so glad I got enough sleep yesterday. Okay, I can actually remember everything I'm doing here now. Okay, so once I'm done with this, what is the next thing I might need? I want to go ahead and summon a certain character or actor, and I want to be able to destroy them at will as well, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna go to my Alex's header files. In my header files, since I will be summoning someone, I gotta store either that actor or a character. In this case, let's go with a character. I want to store it inside of something which I could later on use to summon whenever I want to summon. And I would need a summon action as well. But those are the two basic things that I might need. Avengers, let's go! Guys, fun fact is I did not watch much Marvels as well. I do like this shirt though. That said, how are you doing? Biny, is that your pronunciation name? Or Benjamin, is that your pronunciation name? Guys, I'm awful at name pronunciation. That's it, I appreciate you guys joining the stream. Okay, that's it, let's see. So, firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine. In my Unreal Engine, I'm gonna click Tools, and let's go to something like a new C++ class, because the thing that I will be summoning is going to be a character which I will be, let's say, giving characteristics inside of my C++ instead of my blueprints. I will be using blueprints as well for some of the visuals and all that stuff. But mostly it's going to be, the logic is going to be added through C++ Visual Studio. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this something like, I don't know. Maybe I'll go with meats. Okay, I want to go ahead and summon meats. Okay, why do you comment on every line? Are you making... Honestly, the reason I do like comment on like almost every single line is because I want to later on when I read my code kind of differentiate as to what block of code goes for what, because many of you guys did say me that this way of programming... Let's kind of reload this real quick. I'm gonna just reload all real quick. And now many of you guys do say me that the way I program is not like ideal, and later on with like a bigger project it's going to get much harder to program this way because I did not really get any kind of professional supervision when it comes to programming. I did like use AI to like learn all this, but the reason I actually had a lot of comments is so later on I could see the program, or if anyone else could see the program, they could like instantly know that what part of code or what chunk of code goes for what section, if that makes any sense. For example, my move function consists of 4 different factors. It consists of scale value, camera rotation, world direction, and add movement input. So it's just pretty easy to like see this part and all that stuff. And well, that's like about it. And these two chunks of code goes to my binding move action and binding my look action. These two goes for binding my RMB action. One is for started, one is for completed, if that made any sense. Are you making a game? Honestly, I am like working on the basics to learn how to make a game. And then by the end of the series, by the end of my program for 250 series, I will be making a game in general that consists of AI logic in it. I think that I've started getting into the AI logic part, where actually the very basic AI logic part, but I gotta work on making maps, different kinds of meshes, and like rigging, animation, all that stuff as well. Including like voiceovers, like sound effects. Okay guys, I just realized how much is there in my plate. Okay, that's it. Let's see. What was I gonna do again? Okay, so I created a Meetsys character class, which I will be summoning. Although, before I actually do work on that, I'm gonna go under my RMB action. Now that I've created a C++ class, I want a place where I can go ahead and store my C++ class so I could take it from there and summon it at will. Okay, nice. That honestly sounds pretty cool. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go with a comment that says something like store meets to use to summon later. Guys, is this even like, doesn't even like make any sense? I feel like I've been phrasing stuff in the worst way these days. That said, I'm gonna go ahead and store my meat to use it later on. For example, I'm gonna go with something like a U property for my meats. Okay, there we go. Now, I want to be able to, let's say I want my meat to be visible anywhere, so I'm gonna go with something like visible anywhere. CISIBLE, anywhere. Okay, and I want my Meetsys category, let's go with something like category, to be equal to summoning. I want to go ahead and summon it at will. There. Now, the reason I didn't go with like blueprint read only or blueprint read in lights and all that basic stuff like the second parameter here is because I don't really need all that. I just want to have a container that consists of a meat that I could summon anytime. So I wouldn't need to add more data, because more data means more processing. That makes any sense. So now I'm gonna go with something like a T subclass of. Let's go with T subclass of this template. This template is what actually stores my either character class, actor class, pawn, or anything else in general that I want to later on summon. In this case, it's gonna be my A meets. There. Okay, so I successfully stored my meets here. Okay, the reason it shows in red underline is because I did not really include my Meetsys header files here. So I'm gonna go with something like hashtag include. I'm gonna go with something like meet.h. And now magically I should be able to see the beat. There we go, the red underline's gone. Okay, now my meat is going to be represented by, let's say, a local variable called, I'm going to go with something like summon meat. There, and then I'm going to go ahead and end it with a semicolon. Okay, that's actually about it now. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead, I would be requiring a summon action as well, which is basically when that action has been initiated, then I want to go ahead and do what my summon functions tell me to do. I don't really have a summon function for now, but I will be creating that. But this is just me looking in the future that I will be needing a summon action. Okay, so I'm going to go with something like a summon action. I mean, maybe I could go ahead and create my summon action here. Doesn't really matter. Let's go with something like a summon action. Okay, now for my summon action, just like all the other basic input action, I'm going to go ahead and add a property. Where my U property is going to be something like edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit my summon action anywhere. I want my summon action to be blueprint read only. And I want my summon actions category to be equal to, let's see, I might go with summoning. Let's go with summoning. So, honestly, I'll go with input because I am going to be using an input to actually summon my meats in the screen. Okay, let's go with something like show. Why are you gay? Honestly, guys, gay is kind of crazy. That's it. I am like actually straight. Okay, let's see. So, once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and add something like a U input action, where my U input action is going to be represented by a pointer called something like summon action. Okay, now that's pretty much it. I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. And then lastly, under my basic functions, I'm going to create another white function called something like summon. And these are just basically me declaring that all these things does exist. I'm going to go ahead and define everything that I've declared inside of my Alex's header files in my Alex's C++ file, because C++ is for definition and headers is for declaration, if that makes any sense. Okay, so here's the thing. I did like create a summon action, but I might want to create a button as to when I click that button, I want to go ahead and summon someone. For example, I might click something like M to summon my meat. So I might go ahead and create another action. And guys, I just realized one of the biggest mistakes that I've made right now. I've been real enthusiastic in my entire stream, so I'm kind of getting myself exhausted. I was trying to avoid this because I was trying to conserve my energy so I can actually be more active for most of the stream, if that makes any sense. That said, I guess I'll try that next stream again. Let's go with something like U property. Oh, my bad. This is going to be something like M action. Okay, so for my M action, I'm going to create a U property just like all the other actions where I want my M action to be edit anywhere. I'm going to go with something like edit anywhere. I want my M action to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read my M action. So let's go with something like blueprint. There we go. Read only. And lastly, I want my M actions category to be equal to something like, let's go with something like category. To be equal to any guesser in the chats, guys. Okay, it's going to be input. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create something like a U input action, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like M action, ending with a semicolon. Okay, this is for me checking if I clicked M or not. And then I'm going to go with something like a boolean check here as well. I'm going to go with something like a boolean to check if is my M pressed. So if my M is pressed, I'm going to set that equal to false because my M is not initially being pressed. Not when my game begins. Then I'm going to go with two other white functions. One is for M underscore pressed with a parentheses ending with a semicolon. And one is going to be for M underscore released, RELESED, with a parentheses ending with a semicolon. And now that's about it. So I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Go back to my C++ file. In my C++ file, what is something that I might need? First, I might need some water. I'm kind of thirsty. Alright, guys, let me just go ahead and just check that out. Just, there. Okay, I guess I drink some water. I'm kind of thirsty. Okay, there we go. Okay, so once I'm done with this, so I forgot where I was. Guys, this is what I mean by brain blanks. Like, I've been memorizing so many things recently for my college and my stream in general that I completely like blank out at times. Okay, so where was I again? M action and summon action. There we go. So now, in my C++ file, firstly, I'm going to add some content from my M actions. Let's say I want to add them right under my RMB action. So I'm going to go here. Let's add a comment that says something like M action. Actually, M function. RMB. Why did I go with action? Function. FUNCTION. There, now for my M function, this isn't going to be like a huge chunk of code that I'm going to be adding. All I gotta do is go with something like a void function from my Alex's class, which uses a scope resolution operator to point towards something like M_press with a prof parentheses, and then a prof curly braces. Now, excuse me guys, when my M function has been initiated, I want to set my boolean variable of isMpressed to be equal to true, ending with a semicolon. That's right about it. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. This thing goes from there and it comes here. I'm going to remove this from there and add it here. Any kind of typos that I had. Okay, next thing that I'm going to do is change this to something like M_released. And now, if from my Alex's class, if my M release function has been initiated, I want to set my B is mpress to be false. To be false. It's quite strange. Let's add a prof curly braces here. I want to end this with a semicolon. I want to end this with a semicolon. Okay, why is it that I see it by the underline here? Let's kind of hover over it. Hovering does not work. There, okay. Guys, this is so annoying. Sometimes it's my Visual Studio that just gives me the red squiggly lines and I'm like, why does this one give me? It actually doesn't even tell it. It's actually just messing with me type stuff. Okay, that's that. Once I'm done with my M functions, I want to go ahead and define the summon function that I declared in my header file. So, under my look function, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like summon. And for my summon function, I'm going to firstly go with something like void. It's going to be a void function from my Alex's class, which uses a scope resolution operator to point towards my summon function. There. Now, then I'm going to add a prof curly braces, and inside my summon function, what are a few things that I might need? Firstly, I might want to get my world, so I'm going to add a comment that says something like get world. Get world. And now, to get access of my Unreal Engine's world, I'm going to firstly go ahead and use the uworlds' I'm assuming keyword, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like world. WORLD. My world is going to be equal to, I'm going to go ahead and use the getWorlds function. Now, my worlds pointer has access to my actual Unreal Engine's world. Once I'm done getting my world, what is the next thing I might need? So I could get my world to summon my object. I want to go ahead and summon it. Oh, got it, guys. I was just looking at you guys' soul to see if you guys had the answer. I'm gonna go ahead and get my spawn location. Let's go with something like spawn location. So now, where do I want my actual meats to spawn? I want my meat to spawn, let's say 300 units in front of which way my character, in this case my Alex, is facing. So to do that, firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and add a vector. And guys, this is what I mean by the brain blanks. Let's see if drinking some water actually helps with it. Okay. Okay, let me try to look at you guys' soul again to see if you guys have the answers. Let's think. So, I need my, what was it? Spawn location. For my spawn location, I might need to get, I gotta get my direction. My player's this direction. So I gotta go with get my player location. It's gonna be called something like spawn direction. Okay, our spawn location, which is going to be equal to get my actor location. Okay, I think I see, guys, it always works. Let's go with something like spawn location. Which way do I want LOCTION? Location. LOCATION. There we go. Which way do I want where do I want player to spawn? I'm gonna set that equal to my get actors' rotation. I'm gonna go with something like get actor. Location. Okay, I'm gonna get my actors' location. Then I'm gonna go ahead and increase my actors' location. And because of precedence, I'm gonna add a parentheses so my this content gets processed first. Oh my gosh, guys, it's so hard to phrase these things. Okay, very first I'm gonna go with something like my get actor forward vectors as function. I want to get my actors as forward vector, which way my actors as chest or breast is actually facing. I'm gonna go with a row of parentheses here. I want to multiply that by 300.f. There we go, and then I end this with a semicolon. What this basically means, my meat is gonna spawn 300 units away from whichever place my actor is currently facing, which my actor's pivot point is. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add a F rotator now. For my F rotator, this is basically for F rotator is basically in charge of my meat looking in a certain direction based on where I was looking while I spawned that character. If I look upwards or diagonally, my meat is gonna spawn diagonally. If that made any sense. Okay, I guess I need some water. It's getting harder to phrase this. I feel my brain blanks coming back, guys. And when I say brain blanks, I mean my brain completely shuts off for a second. Okay, that's it. Let's go with something like spawn rotation. Now, my spawn rotation is going to be equal to my get control rotation. Guys, this is what I love. This is the first thing that I like a bunch of things that I love about Unreal Engines is C++. In this case, I like controller. Hold up, guys, let me kind of type it out real quick. Let's go with something like controller. Get control CNTRL rotation. There. Okay, so this is one tiny thing that I love about Unreal Engine is that I don't need to do any kind of math to get my control rotation. It gets it for me. And I don't even need to point my controller towards get control rotation. There we go. Okay, now once I'm done with this, what is something else that I might need? I got my world, I got my spawn location, I got my spawn rotation. And now I guess I want to literally spawn my meat on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like spawn meat. To spawn my meat, I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement here. Here's the thing, I don't want to summon real quick. I gotta go ahead and do something. My bad, guys. Let me think. Okay, so I'm gonna add an if statement here real quick. My if statement is gonna check if my boolean of is m pressed is set to true. Only while my M is being pressed, I want to go ahead and get these contents up here, delete it from there, paste it here. While my M is being pressed, I want to get my spawn location, spawn rotation, then I want to spawn my meat on level. There. Okay, let's see. Now, for my spawn meat on level, firstly, what I'm going to go ahead and do is that I'm going to go ahead and use my Unreal's spawn actor function. There we go. I had to recall it. There we go. So I'm gonna go with something like spawn actor. I really don't think it was spawn actor. Hold up. Let me kind of think this through. So basically, what are the things that I needed? Let's kind of get my resources up here straight. So in my header files, I have my meat summon or my summon meat. I have my summon action, M action, and that's about it. So in my C++ file to spawn my meat, what is the most logical thing that I might need? Let's think. So, firstly, I want to go ahead and spawn actor. I'm pretty sure it's not called summon, it's called spawn actor, but I might go with something like I think it's spawn actor. Yeah, I think it's spawn actor, so I'm gonna go with something like spawn actor. This is my spawn actors template, which requires a parameter of my a meet. This is my class's name, which is going to be having a pair of parentheses. My pair of parentheses requires 3 parameters. The first is going to be who do I want to summon. In this case, I want to go ahead and summon my meat, so I'm going to go with my summon meat. Where do I want to summon? I'm going to go with something like my spawn direction. Which way do I want to face it once it summons? I'm going to go with something like my spawn rotation. And ROTATI1, and there's a bunch of red underlines. I know exactly why I'm getting these red underlines, I just can't think of it. Let's go with IntelliSense. Okay, I mean, IntelliSense does not help me with my syntaxes. I know there was like another chunk of code, another thing here that pointed towards the spawn actor, but I forgot what was it that pointed towards spawn actor. Maybe I'm gonna go with something like right click this, go with something like my previous Visual Studios project. Let's go ahead and open that project real quick. I might want to take a tiny reference for this because I did kind of forget what goes here. Okay, so summon action. My world, there we go. That's what I was saying, like that's That's what I was saying. I was trying to like get a hold of everything that I literally like need. I read everything except my world. That's so stupid. I created my world for no reason. Okay, so my world's pointer points towards my spawn actor. Summon needs. What other parameters does it require? Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Spawn actor. Why did I go with spawn direction? Oh my gosh, how do I keep messing up? Spawn location. Spawn rotation. Guys, it's all typos. There's like so many typos there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end the space semicolon. That's about it now. Every time my player clicks M, I should be able to summon my meat on my Unreal Engine level. However, I want to go ahead and maybe add a G-Engine add-on screen debug message that actually tells me when my meat spawns. I'm going to see a literal text on my window. For doing that, I'm going to go ahead and include, let's say, a folder. So what I do want to include is going to be from my engine. I'm going to include my engines as header files because my add-on screen debug message is going to be represented by a pointer called G-Engine. So I'm going to go with something like engine/engine.h. And I won't go with like engine types because I don't really need that. Now I'm going to go all the way down here under my summon function. I'm going to go ahead and use my G-Engine. Let's go with something like G-Engine, which points towards my add-on screen. I'm going to go with add-on screen. Debug message. Debug message. There we go. Now my add-on screen debug message is going to be requiring a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be a key. I want the key to be -1. You guys could go with +1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all those numbers. I'm going with -1 because I want it to like disappear as well. And then you're going to be requiring a second parameter of time. For how long do I want my debug message to be displayed on my Unreal Engine's level? In this case, I want it to be displayed for, let's say, 1 second. So I'm going to go with 1.f. Third parameter is going to be color. What color do I want my text to be on my screen? I'm going to use the F colors, the structure, which is going to be using a scope resolution operator to be pointing towards maybe red. I want my text to be red. And then lastly, I'm going to be requiring a text parameter. What do I want to literally display on my screen? Here's the thing. Instead of using just a plain text, which is potentially much easier and time saving, I prefer using a F string, which points towards a printf using a scope resolution operator. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a text here. The reason I do this is because later on, sometime when I want to display very details, for example, let's say current stamina, this is the stamina you have. You can't just do that with regular text. You need to use an F string as printf. It's going to be hard to explain about, but I will be doing that later on in the stream or maybe next stream. So I will like explain it then when I'm doing it. I'm gonna add a text that says something like meat has been spawned. Okay, exclamation. Maybe I'll go with something like spawn title case that. I mean, lowercase does look much better. I don't know. Okay, you guys get the gist of it. I'm gonna end that with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add or bind. I want to bind my summon action and I want to bind my M input action. Yeah, I want to go ahead and bind them. I was trying to think of a better way to phrase that. Harding Windish, is that I pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. Let's open my Unreal Engine now. In my Unreal Engine, I'm going to go to the content drawer. I'm going to save my code real quick because I've had my code crash at times, so that's kind of annoying. I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Everything's saved. I'm going to go ahead and save it from like Visual, save it from here as well. There we go, guys. If you guys did not ever go through the frustration of not saving your code and then your PC just crashed and you come back to see all your code has disappeared, all the content has disappeared. That was really frustrating. I used to have that problem so much back in the days when I first started Unreal Engine because I did not know how do I save stuff. That's sad. I'm gonna double click my input. Now, in my input, I'm gonna go ahead and right click and let's say I wanna add an action input. This case, my action input is gonna be called something like IE_summon because I will be having a summon action. And then I'm gonna go. Will I need a summon action? Summon action is going to be initiated. Those have been initiated. Blah blah blah. Okay, let's think. It always worked when I be looking at you guys' soul while actually thinking. So, will I need a summon action? Let's think. I have a Empress that is going to be linked to that, to like M_press and M_release. For my summon action, I will be linking it to not a specific key control, but I will be linking it to M and all my summon inputs in general. I think I see. Okay, I will need a summon action. Guys, I was just like kind of... Hey, where are you from, brother? Honestly, I am like from abroad, but I can't give my actual country name. That's let's go ahead and add another action input. And guys, I want to kind of do some pushes. My arms kind of... Ow! My arms are kind of sore. I just hit my arms in the chair. Okay, and honestly, guys, I'm not that big to like just get hurt by hitting the chair. It hurt my nerves. Okay, that's it. Let's go with something like I_M. Because I have a M action as well. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go to my IMC default. In my IMC default, I'm going to add a new mapping where my mapping from none, I'm going to switch it to something like IE_summon. Where for the time being, I just need one summon action here, which is going to be when I click M. That's when I want to go ahead and summon my meat on my Unreal Engine's level. Then I'm going to go ahead and click plus here. And I'm going to switch this to something like I_M. This is going to be for my individual M action that is going to be pressed in the window. There, I'm going to go ahead and initiate this when I click M as well. And that's about it. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go all the way down here. Let's bind my action. So, in my C++'s header files, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like bind summon action. Summon action. Now, to bind my summon action, firstly, I'm going to go with something like my enhance input component, which points to words. Like everything, I'm going to go with something like my bind action. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and add it. Did I go with bind action? Let's go with something like bind action. And guys, I shouldn't have been this energetic my entire stream. I'm starting to feel the exhaustion right now. I mean, honestly, it's not like I'm not like feeling the exhaustion right now. The reason I did say that is because I will be feeling the exhaustion once I'm done with the stream and I gotta like start with my college stuff. Because there's like a lot of stuff to like actually memorize there. That's so annoying. Okay, that's it. For my bind action, firstly, I'm gonna go with my summon action. Hiding Tisper, is that pronounce your name? Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like summon action. I want to go ahead and bind my summon action. And then I'm going to be requiring a trigger type as well. So I'm going to go with something like a E-trigger event. Which, in this case, can you guys guess, would it either be started or like triggered? It's actually going to be triggered. The reason I have it to be triggered is because when I click my summon action, I want it to be triggered because my key checks is going to be controlled by either my it's going to be controlled by the I underscore M, which is my M action, and my M action will have a started and completed. So one click equals one summon, and it's not going to summon a bajillion things. Okay, so if my summon action has been triggered on this object, I want to do something from my Alex's class, which is going to be my summon function, what my summon function tells me to do. Guys, this gets so hard to phrase. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add another bind action. This is gonna be something like bind M action. Okay, let's go with something like ACTION. Now, for my bind M action, it's gonna be exactly the same as my binding R and B action. I'm gonna go with something like enhanced input component, which is gonna point towards a bind action. I'm gonna go with something like a bind action. And now my bind action is firstly like my R&B action is going to go ahead and require a action name, which in this case, it's going to be my M action. And then I'm going to be requiring a trigger type as well. So I'm going to go with something like a E-trigger event, which is going to be using a scope resolution operator to point towards. And this time I'm going to go ahead and add started here in STARTED. This time I'm going to go ahead and add started here instead of triggered, because when I click M once, I want my action to start, my M action to start. If my M action has been started on this object, I want to do what this function tells me to do, what my M underscore pressed function tells me to do. This sets my boolean variable of is M pressed to be equal to true. In the contrary, I'm going to go with something like enhanced input component, which is going to be pointing towards another bind action. Again, my action name is going to be M action. But this time, unlike my first M action that I binded, I'm going to be having a E-trigger event, which is going to be using a scope resolution operator to point towards completed. There. So if my M action has been completed on this object, I want to do what this function, what my Alex's classes M underscore released function tells me to do. Bro, is the inspiration for a generation love from Hyderabad? Guys, it actually means the world to me. I do appreciate you. Siobhan, is that how you pronounce your name? Guys, that actually means the world to me. Okay, that's it. I think I had a typo here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and display a semicolon. And I think that's honestly about it, because I just had to like bind these functions and I'm done binding them. So I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and open my Unreal Engine up here. And then let's hit Control Alt F11 to compile. Once I compile the code, I should be able to... Okay, my bad. Before I really compile the code, I should have created a blueprint class to give my meat a shape, because now even though I could be able to summon my meat, I will not be able to actually see it in my Unreal's level. So let's do that real quick. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and exit this. I'm gonna click my content drawer. Before that, I'm gonna extend my details panel. Go ahead and click my Alex's class. I'm gonna go with something like input. Is there any inputs up here that I might think of? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I have M action. I'm going to set that to IA underscore M. Summon action is going to be IA underscore summon. That's perfect. Okay, now let's close this. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to click content. I'm going to go under my C++ classes, where I'm going to double click my many projects as folder. I'm going to right click my meets class, and I'm going to go ahead and create a blueprint class based on my meet. So my meet is going to be the parent of my blueprint class. I'm going to call it something like BP underscore meet, which is going to be blueprint underscore meet instead of my meets. Then I'm going to go ahead and create a class. Now, inside my blueprint class, I'm going to be adding a bunch of things. And in case you guys can't really see my entire window through my vertical stream because it's in portrait mode, make sure to move on to my horizontal stream, because I think I'm going to be doing my meets section in a landscape mode. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add a component. Let's add a static mesh. STATIC. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and add a static mesh for my meets, where this is gonna be something like my meets PNG that I created. Guys, this does not look. I'm like really awful at using Blender. Okay, I'm gonna hit something like, let's say R to scale this. Let's kind of scale it down. There, I think that's a pretty good size for meets. Can I scale it a bit more? Nope. That's, I think, the max. I'm going to hit W and kind of move myself in the y-axis. I'm into cinematics of Unreal rather than in game logic. Did this stuff help me in cinematics? Honestly, I'd say like I didn't like work much with like cinematics and all that stuff. Plus, I'm like awful with the UI or like animation in general. The only thing I am kind of good on is like adding game logic using programming type stuff. But I do actually want to work on those things. And about the will this thing really help with cinematics? I actually wouldn't know that because I did not really try it. But I'd say it's always like kind of useful to like really know how these things work and all that stuff. And that also really just depends on like preference. Some people would like never need this if their job is based on animation, all that. I think it's kind of fun. I just do it because it's like kind of fun to write programs. Okay, that said, once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and compile the code. Once I'm done compiling, I'm gonna click the instance, which is basically the self of my meets as class. Then I'm gonna search for something like something. Okay, there's nothing in summoning because I gotta add some content inside of my actual meet as well. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and get in my tab here. There we go. And guys, you guys see why I prefer doing this in like landscape mode instead of portrait mode while I'm going with my blueprint. Everything's like so tiny here. Okay, once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go to my content drawer and create a blueprint class for my Alex as well. Let's go ahead and create a blueprint class. I'm gonna call this something like BP_Alex. And here's the thing. I could have done this exact thing of adding a static mesh inside my C++, but there are a few things that's much easier to do in Blueprint compared to in Visual Studio. In Visual Studio, I would have had to include my static mesh components as header files. Then I would have created a U property for my U static mesh component and do all that stuff and give my file path, load my actual static mesh to my Unreal Engine. But I don't really want to do that stuff, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it using my blueprint here because there are a few things that's much better to do it in blueprints. There, I'm going to go to the details panel and type something like summoning. Now, in my summoning for my Alex's class, I'm going to go ahead and set my summon action to be something like IA_summon. And let's kind of increase that. Under my summoning meets, it's set to none. I need to set it to my BP_that. So this is summon meets, right? Did I change it to be visible anywhere instead of having it to be edit anywhere? Might have to check that. Hold up, guys. Let's go to my Unreal Engine real quick. So, I have my summon meet to be visible anywhere. There we go. This should be edit anywhere. Let's go with something like edit anywhere. Tiny typo details. Gotta pay attention to these things. There. Now let's control us to save the code. If I were to go ahead and open my Visual Studio here. Firstly, I'm going to compile, and then I'm going to go with Control-Alt-F11 to compile my code. Let's wait for it to compile real quick. Okay. While it's compiling, once I'm done summoning my meet, I will try adding UI so I can get like health system and all that as well, because I did work on the chase logic. So I kind of have a brief idea as to how I might get an NPC to chase me. Then later I got to work with like raycasting, if that makes any sense. Now let's open my BP_actor. I'm going to type summoning again. And magically, I can go ahead and select this. I'm going to select this to be BP_meet because I want to summon my meets. Then I'm going to compile. Now let's go ahead and kind of run the code and let's run it. If I were to run the code, I can go ahead and move around. If I were to hit something like M, meet has spawned. Okay, a good thing is that it says meet has spawned, but I want one meet spawn at a time. 4 meet spawns at once. It really depends. The faster I click. I want one meet spawn per click, so I might fix another thing real quick. Although I don't really see my meet in my level, that's because I did not go to my content drawer. And then if I were to go to something like C++ classes, I did not really drag my meets to my level. No, it should spawn in my level, not me dragging it on my level. Okay, let's recall everything that I had to do. I'm gonna go up here. I'm going to click my Alex's class. Then let's type something like summoning. Okay, there we go. This is going to be BP_meet. No wonder it wasn't summoning. It was summoning, but it wasn't being displayed on my window. So I'm going to go ahead and run the code again after hitting Control-Alt-F11 to compile. Now this should work. Okay, there we go. Successfully patched. I'm going to go ahead and exit this. Then I'm going to go ahead and run the code. There. Now that's it. M. Whoa. Guys, this is okay. I kind of had a tiny bit of mess up with my trigger, I think. Okay, let's go with something like M. And guys, this is what I mean when I say like they face whichever way my flare is facing. Like if I look down and I summon a meat, they look upwards. That's what my rotation does. But I have this to be triggered. I gotta change it because there are like so many meats here. Okay, let's fix that tiny bug now. So I can just look at it and tell where my tiny bug is. My bug is in my bindings here. This is gonna be started. Started. There we go. So when I go ahead and start something, I'm gonna go ahead and control all this thing. And press and release. Started. Okay, I think that works. I think that works. I just had to like think for a bit. And now let's go ahead and control Alt F11 to compile the code again. Okay, nice. You can replace it with bullets, right? Honestly, yeah, that does make sense. I could really replace it with bullets, and later I can do something like a raycasting and shoot in an FPS game, which stands for like a first-person shooter game, because it's so hard to like memorize those things. Although, I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Now let's go with something like M. There we go. It's one summon per click now. And it says your meat has spawned on the level. I really want to generate some gravity for them, to be honest, so they don't like stay up here, do I? I don't know, I'll go with something like M again, and then I'm gonna go with M again. And this is basically what my rotation means. When I'm looking upwards and I'm summoning a meat, they look downwards and they spawn. When I look downwards and I summon a meat, they look upwards while they spawn. Might want to add a jump action, might want to add a few more details to this, but for now I'm gonna hit escape. Thing that I want to do is I want to go to my Lisa, I want to hit something like R, I want to make her a bit bigger. Whoops. There, because I want myself to be a bit bigger than my meat. There, and then I want to go ahead and increase the size of my capsule as well. And guys, I'm actually starting to get a bit exhausted right here. Shouldn't have been this enthusiastic from the very beginning of the stream. Okay, let's kind of extend it. Really nice, let's go! Okay, I'm gonna go with something like Alex. Let's go with something like my capsule component. I want to click R for my capsule component. Let's increase the size. How did I forget? My Lisa increases with my capsule component because they're 1. Fine, I'm gonna increase everything. Lisa is the only thing that does increase. I mean, it's fine. I think that's good. Let's kind of fix my positioning. I think it's kind of fine. Okay, now I'm going to hit Control Alt F11, kind of run the code again. Then later on, now that I've got my summoning to actually work, there might be a bunch more things. For example, I might need to work on raycasting. I might need to work on increasing my health whenever I summon with a meat. But first, I'm going to work on destroying my meat every time I click it, or every time I click a certain button, if that makes any sense. Or every time I summon a different meat, I want my first meat to get destroyed. But before that, I want to kind of run the code. And they're the same size. Like, I want my meat to be a bit smaller though. It's like, it's kind of big. We're almost the same size. And I gotta fix my camera. This is kind of bothering me. I'm gonna go to follow camera. I'm gonna go with something like E to rotate. I'm gonna kind of get myself a bit down. Did I just turn myself? Alright guys, I want to kind of get myself down here. There we go. There. And then I want to hit something like W in my follow camera. I'm going to go to follow camera, hit W, get myself higher. There, I think that's good. Now let's hit Control Alt F11. Control Alt F11. While it's compiling, I'm going to go ahead and decrease my details panel up here. Now finally my camera is going to be a bit good. Let's wait for it to compile. Did it just say live coding failed? Patch could not be activated. Hold up guys, let's go with Control Alt F11 again. Okay, it's pretty sure it's just like an Unreal Engine error. There we go, results defeated. Unreal Engine starts tweaking at times. Let's run the code. There we go, that's much better. That's much better. I'm gonna go ahead and hit something like M, and I can summon meats. There, now let's go ahead and work on the next logic. What is the next thing that I might want to do? Maybe first I want to drink some water. What up guys, let me kind of open my bottle real quick. Okay, I want to go ahead and destroy my meats as well using a different button. So I'm gonna go ahead, go to my header files, and guys, this is something that I did not work on before ever, so it's gonna be like a new content. I'm gonna go with something like backspace, right? Right. Is it supposed to be called a backspace? Okay, I guess let's try it. I want to go to my Unreal Engine here real quick. And then excuse me guys, instead of M, I'm going to change it to backspace real quick. Okay, it is called backspace, okay, good. I want to go ahead and delete my meat every time I click backspace. So I'm going to go with something like backspace action. For my backspace action, just like all my other action, I'm going to create a U property. Let's go with PROPERTY, where I want my backspace action to be edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit my backspace action anywhere. I want my backspace action to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read my backspace action, not really edit it. And lastly, I'm going to go with my category CATEGORY to be equal to something like input, because backspace is basically an input as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a U input action, which is going to be, maybe I fix my typo first. Let's go with something like a U input action, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like backspace action. And then I'm going to end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with the backspace action, is there anything else that I need? Let's think. Maybe not. Maybe yes, I do. I want to go with something like a boolean check to check if my boolean variable of is backspace SPACE pressed. If my backspace, I'm going to initially set it to be true. Then I'm going to create a few boolean void functions. I don't really know of a better name, so I just named it something like boolean void functions, where I'm going to go with two functions, a backspace press function and a backspace underscore release function. Let's go with something like backspace underscore pressed with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon, and another void function or something like backspace underscore release. It's not being pressed anymore, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and see why am I getting a red line. It's definitely my Unreal Engine, so I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. There we go. Now let's move on to my C++ file. What I'm really aiming to do here right now first is add a comment that says something like backspace function. Okay, for my backspace function, I have two spaces. I'll add another space. Okay, I'm gonna go with a void function, and then I'm gonna go with something like Alex. I'm gonna go ahead and point towards my backspace underscore pressed function, which does not require any parameters. Then I'm gonna go with the curly braces. Now, if my backspace has been pressed, I want to set my boolean variable of is backspace pressed to be equal to true, ending with a semicolon. Then just to save some time, I'm going to kind of copy this and then paste it down here as well. I'm going to change my pressed to released. If my backspace underscore release function has been triggered, then I want to do something RELEASED. I want to set this to be equal to false. And guys, I just realized that I shouldn't have been this energetic. My energies levels were like going down and down, and I don't think I'm that exhausted though, honestly. I don't know why am I feeling exhausted. Like I should be able to have more endurance in this. But that's let's see. So once I'm done with the backspace function, I'm gonna go ahead and just bind them up now. So I'm gonna go with something like bind backspace action. For my binding backspace action, I'm firstly gonna go with enhance input component, which points towards a bind action just like everything else. Okay, it requires an action name, which in this case it's gonna be my backspace action. Okay, it requires a trigger type, so I'm gonna go with something like a e-trigger event, which is going to be using a scope resolution operator to point towards a type. I'm going to go with started because my backspace is either going to be started or completed. So if a backspace has been triggered on this object, I want to do what the memory address of my Alex's classes backspace underscore pressed. Let's go with something like underscore pressed function tells me to do. This is not going to be Alice, it's going to be Alex. And then I'm going to end this with a semicolon. Next up, I'm going to go with enhance input component that points towards a bind action again with a pair of parentheses, which requires a action name again, which in this case is going to be my backspace action. And then I'm going to require a trigger event. So I'm going to go with something like a e-trigger event. If a backspace actions event has been completed on this object, I want to do what the memory address of my a Alex's what my what my what my a Alex's class tells me to do. I'm going to go with something like the backspace underscore released function tells me to do, ending with a semicolon. This is going to be e-trigger event. And now that's pretty much it for the basic creating an input action and binding it. Now I'm gonna add a functionality inside my summon function. Oh god, this is actually kind of tedious. And when I say tedious, I'm just whatchamacallit. Should I say I'm just being cranky? It's actually pretty fun. That's let me go ahead and drink some water because I'm kind of thirsty. Okay, what could the next thing be that I might? Oops. What could the next thing be that I might need? So, I do know that I need to use a destroy function. I gotta go ahead and check if something has been summoned. I want to go ahead and destroy that thing. Okay. Let's think. Should I go ahead and destroy? How do I destroy meat? Alright guys, let me try this. So, let me look at you guys' soul to see if I can really, should I say solve this algorithm? I don't think it's algorithm. I don't know what I'm saying. Hold up. So, basically, I firstly get my, my meat spawned on my Unreal Engine's level, and then I need to destroy when I click backspace. So if I click backspace, I want to go ahead and use the destroy function on my meat. I see. Okay, one more thing. Where does it go though? Does it really go inside of my spawn actions function, or does it go outside as a separate function of its own? It might go inside my function. Okay, so inside my is M being pressed, because I check. I see, okay. I'll have to go with MB if I did that. I don't really want to do that. This only works if M is being pressed. Okay, I guess it goes out. It's like a whole different entity of its own. Let's just try. If my boolean of is and pressed, no, not impressed. If is backspace press, there we go. So if my backspace has been pressed, I think I spelled this wrong, right? And guys, there goes all my energy. I guess this stream is going to be kind of dead now. Okay. This is why I kind of like to save my energy when I start the stream, because my endurance is not that high. Boolean of is backspace pressed. If my backspace has been pressed, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. What is something that I want to do? Let's think. I'm going to go ahead and destroy. Do I want to destroy my meat? I'll go with something like destroy summon meat. Does it allow that? It does allow that. Okay, this changes everything. Hold up. Let's go ahead and chicken meat existing in the dot. I do that. I want to check. I mean, this is going to work as well, but I want to only delete my meat if it really exists in my window. So I got to figure out how to do that. I'm going to try it. Let's try it this way first, and then I'll try the other way. I'm going to hit control. Let's just save the code. I'm going to go to my Unreal Engine here. I'm going to go to there. Did I go to content? Input I underscore backspace and I underscore. Let's create a action input. Okay, my action input is gonna be my IA underscore backspace, back SPAC, where I'm gonna control Alt F11 to compile my code now. Let's wait for any code to compile real quick. Go ahead and delete that certain object. And live coding failed. And net force is summon meat. Maybe I go without anything. Let's hit Control S to save the code. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go ahead and Control Alt F11 to compile the code again. Okay, let's see. Let's wait for this to compile. Results succeeded. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and exit that. I'm gonna go ahead and no before I run the code. I'm gonna go to my Alex. I'm gonna go all the way down here to input. And let's go ahead and add my new backspace input action here. IA underscore backspace. Perfect. Now let's cancel that. And then let's transition to me running my code. Let's hit M to actually spawn them. Then I'm gonna hit backspace. Backspace does not work. I gotta see why it does not work. Well, maybe okay, it actually does not work. I need to think. Okay, there we go again, guys. I feel like I'm back to my blank brains. I think it's very easy to actually do this. I just gotta phrase it in my mind because until I don't like actually phrase it in my mind, I don't really know what to do, if that makes any sense. So it's like usually if I'm doing something, I do like kind of do it in my mind so I actually know what I'm doing. But is backspace underscore press. So what is something that I might need for it? Let's think. So I want to check if my meat exists on my window. If my meat does exist on my window, I want to go ahead and destroy my meat from my window. One meat at a time. How could I destroy it? Let's think. It's easy to do this with stamina, with health bar, because if my health is less than 0, then I want to go ahead and destroy my object. Meat's health could be set to 10, that it takes my entire 10 health. I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, I guess this is where I kind of kept up now. Control it. Here's the thing. If I wanted, I could actually have done it right now, but I don't really want to do it this stream. Okay, maybe I might actually work on the next stream. I was just gonna go. I just copied the code because I was planning to ask Claude, but I realized if it's some new information I'm gonna be processing, and then that's gonna like kind of fill my brain up as well, increase my fatigue level. Because after the stream, I do need to study for like my college stuff as well, because I do got exams coming up. So maybe I'm going to be working on this next stream, and hopefully if I had time like today, I will be working on it off stream, and then on stream I'm going to just go ahead and kind of get to the conclusion, if that makes any sense. So I might actually end the stream here, because guys, I'm not like exhausted to the point where I can't like really program anymore. I'm exhausted to the point where I know that I do need to study 4 different subjects for like my exams, so gotta kind of time manage up for that. After my college though, I will be having much more time for my streams. And that's let's go to my main camera. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. Let me get you started on my screen. There we go. Basically that was pretty much it for the stream. If you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Liking helps with my algorithm, sharing makes you smile, and subscribing is like a on top. That said, many of you guys did tell me to like do the outro a bit slower, and like I think like 2 streams ago, Longstreet did like say me to like do the outro a bit slower as well. So I will be going a bit slow when I do the outro. And that said, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. You guys can get access to my socials by typing !socials on chat, and you guys will get access to my Instagram, or you guys could go to my bio. That's where all my socials are listed. You guys could click that, and if you guys do enjoy my content, make sure to follow me there. You guys could get access to my socials through my description as well. That's it. Also join my Discord server. That's where I usually chat with you guys, talk to you guys, have general conversations, or also give you guys my roadmap. I do have like a roadmap for like Python, C++. Soon I will be making a roadmap if I have time for like SDL3 and Unreal Engine as well. If you guys do want to join my Discord server, you guys can get access to it by typing exclamation Discord on chat, either my bio, either my description. And yeah, that's basically pretty much it. That said, I'll catch you guys in the next stream or video.